in today's society. Matthew's question is, what do the panelists think about the level of interest in this conflict from the political class in other countries, particularly the West? Do they understand it? So essentially, Matthew's asking, why are people so interested in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? I don't have a clear answer to this, but I have some theories that I want to present. So, first of all, there's just something sexy about it. It's the Holy Land. People have been fighting over this land for thousands of years, and it's just an ongoing conflict. The Jews returned, and they're fighting with the native people. So it has some kind of sex appeal that's just perfect for news stories and the media. But I wouldn't say that's the main cause. I think there's very strong Jewish lobby, at least in the United States. I'm not sure about Europe, but they definitely do have some influence over what the narrative is. And there are also a vast number of Arab Muslims living in Europe and in the United States, and they also are able to have some say over the conversation. So that comes really down to the populations that identify with this conflict are living in the West, and they are able to shine light onto the conflict. In addition to that, I think that it actually appeals to certain left-wing and right-wing ideologies. So if you are, many on the left, they like to view things in terms of power dynamics, and it's kind of like the reverse to might is right. They kind of see might is wrong. So it is an oversimplification of viewing conflict, but they kind of see the powerful Israelis oppressing the weak Palestinians, and they see that as a blatant injustice. So there's just a lot of passion to liberate the weak ones that are being oppressed by the strong ones. And there's something that also is relevant to the right end of the political spectrum. It's fear over Islam and Islam spreading across the West, and they kind of view Israel as the front lines to defending against Islamic spread in the West. So that's why there's an appeal to those on the right as well. Maybe I'm missing the most important reason, but that's kind of how I've come to understand why there's so much appeal here. Share anything to add?
Yeah, look, I'll make a brief comment on that. I agree with your assessment, first of all, Adar. The only thing I can add is that, as you said, it is the Holy Land. By that, if we sort of expand on that point a little, you look at the old city of Jerusalem, within a 0.9 square kilometer space, you have the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where Jesus is supposed to have had his final moments, the crucifixion in the eyes of the Christians, right? You have the Al-Aqsa compound, a black dome and a yellow dome, which is supposed to be the third holiest site in Islam. That yellow dome also happens to be the site on which the Jewish temple, Beit HaMikdash, stood not once but twice in the past, destroyed first by the Babylonians in 586 BC and subsequently by the Romans in 70 AD. So there is a certain centrality for the three Abrahamic faiths. Now, they're the three dominant religions around the world. So there is that. All eyes point towards Jerusalem as a consequence of that centrality. Then there is also, I think, the unique nature of the conflict in that, as I mentioned at the start, Zionism as a nationalist ideology is a little bit unique in that it's a restorationist nationalist movement, of which we have very few. In fact, as a student of nationalism, I can't really think of too many other examples where a group of people who view themselves as having been displaced from a certain territory have gone back to reconstitute their demographic majority and their sovereignty in that land. I could give you hypothetical examples of where it could happen, but it hasn't yet. There is a certain uniqueness, and I think that all of those factors that Adar mentioned and that I'm mentioning explain why there is actually a substantial amount of global interest. But I think the second part of Matthew's question is, do they understand it? That's much tougher to answer.